What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dorm Debate podcast. We have a great special podcast today. We took out Something or Nothing as a segment, and we got a new one for you guys this week. We are going to talk about the main controversy surrounding the Houston Texans firing Bill O'Brien, the coach and GM. So that's what we're going to talk about first. But before we get into that, I want you guys to go to our TikTok, go to our Instagram at Dorm Debate Podcast. Shoot us a follow there. We got some fancy football content. We got news and NFL roster alerts on our Instagram. So make sure you go over there, hit the follow button. But for right now, the big news came out yesterday that Bill O'Brien has been fired. He was coach, I forget how many years. I think it was about 6 years, 6 or 7 years. He made the playoffs 5 out of the 7 times. Just couldn't produce this year. Made a very dumb trade in the preseason, trading DeAndre Hopkins, Pro Bowl wide receiver, for basically nothing. David Johnson has not been the player that we thought he was 2 years ago before his injury. There's just been no substance. 0-4 on the season. I want to go around the table and get our thoughts on that. Like, John, what are your thoughts?
I liked him. I was shocked by the news. I mean, just when I first heard the news, I was like, yeah, they make the playoffs usually. And when you think about it, they always start slow. Like, I remember 2 years ago, I think they were 0-3 to start the year. And everybody was like, oh, they can't make the playoffs. And they ended up making the playoffs. Now they're 0-4. And I agree that the decisions, they basically had DeAndre Hopkins and they had Jadeveon Clowney. And now you don't have those two guys because you traded them. And they gave up a first-round pick and a second-round pick for Tunsil, the tackle, and for Kenny Stills from Miami. So it's like you got rid of big-name guys. Hopkins, you see what he's doing in Arizona. These are guys that change the game. J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson. Those are the only guys that can go out of their way and win a game for you. And now now you don't have Clowney to do that. You don't have Hopkins to do that. So, I mean, I was shocked by the news. I think that he was a good coach because, I mean, they made the playoffs. I know they did have a blunder last year in the playoffs, but, I mean, they were a good team, and I was just shocked. I think you're basically throwing this season away. You have Romeo Crennel, the defensive coordinator, coming in as the head coach now until they hire a new one. And he's always had problems. Their defense has never been amazing. And I just think this season's done for them. They're 0-4. They're probably not even going to win half their games now. And I think that it's going to be tough to find a coach. Everybody's got a new coach now. Everybody's trying to figure out who their coach is. So there's not a lot of coaches to come by.
Yeah. Look, I would have to say I disagree with that. I think his firing is long overdue. Look, there's nothing on his track record that indicates he'd be an excellent NFL head coach. He's been an NFL head coach for 6 years for the Houston Texans. He was an assistant, New England's coach a few years ago, or not a few years ago. I want to say between 2010 and 2013 or something like that. So a couple of years he was an assistant coach, and then 1 year, the year that New England went to the Super Bowl, but they didn't win, he was the offensive coordinator that year. And let's be honest, at that time, Bill Belichick was more involved in the offense. Tom Brady, at that time, he knew what he was doing, right? So he got a lot of credit from that. And from there, he went on to be the head coach for Penn State. He got that job because of his record in New England. And even in college at Penn State, he didn't do anything superb. I think in his 2 seasons there, he was 9-4 the first season and 7-6 the second season. And so nothing really extraordinary he did in his time there, but yet he still got the head coaching job in Houston. So for 6 years, he's had an opportunity to lift this franchise and take him to the AFC Championship game. Yes, they made the playoffs a couple times, but how long are you going to settle as a franchise? How long are you going to settle? You see the talent they have in Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt. They have some exceptional talent. But, what did it for me, though, was a stupid decision in trading DeAndre Hopkins. This guy is a superstar talent. And you basically told Deshaun Watson to make something out of nothing because he has really nobody to throw to. So that was a stupid decision. And honestly, I'm sure a lot of people are happy about this, given that they basically, traded DeAndre Hopkins. And look at the Cardinals. Look at them now. Now they're really competing in their division because of a stupid decision by the Houston Texans coach. Look, I think this was long overdue. I think if you give another coach that's actually pretty good this same opportunity, the same job for even a few years, I think they can do more with Deshaun Watson and this team.
Yeah, I think you both hit on the biggest points. I like, John, what you said about just recent moves that he's done. I mean, you never root for someone to lose their job, but like Jonathan, you were saying, I agree that it's long overdue. I'm surprised it took this long, in my opinion. The questionable moves that he did in terms of trading away the star receiver, your left tackle, and the defensive end for what I've read is sometimes might be personal opinions off the field. Doesn't like what did they get for all the trades? Like they got picks, but then they had to give some away for the left tackle. And you compare what you got in David Johnson. He's a solid running back, but you look at what DeAndre Hopkins is doing with the Cardinals. They're brewing something up special over there with him. You look at what the Titans are contenders with Clowney now, and the mental hit that the team takes when you sign a quarterback in Deshaun Watson. They solved the quarterback problem. They have a great quarterback, but you pay him that much money and you've lost every game of the season so far. I think they've lost the confidence to coach, and you have to move away. I think if you give someone else the reins, someone with a fresh set of eyes and renew chemistry with the team, I think they could build pretty quickly around Watson. But just trading all those key pieces and trying to replace them, and it's like for him to have been a coach of this team for 6 years, you're way past the building stage. And it felt like since the part of this season they've been building for what? Like they should be contending at this point, especially with J.J. Watt going up there and Watson locked down. You should have had the pieces there. Now you can talk about the money issue with paying Watson that much and keeping all these other guys. That's fair. But I think overall, when you're starting off this poorly as a team, and you got to just try something new.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like ever since Bill O'Brien got hired, at least for me, it's always been like a head scratcher because I don't know what he's done to be given a head coaching job in the NFL. At Penn State, he had an 8-win season and a 7-win season, and then he left for the NFL. And, Penn State at that point was, down in the dumps, because Joe Paterno and everything. So they were a bottom-tier program, and he brought them up to maybe an average 8-win team. But still, I don't think that deserves an NFL job. Looking forward, what do you guys think the Texans should do? Do you have any coaches that you think would replace him? Do you think they should get rid of Deshaun Watson? They're going to have a top 5 pick, regardless. They're not going to come back and have a great season. The top 2 players as of right now are Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, Clemson quarterback and Ohio State quarterback. In my opinion, I don't see them picking up a whole nother quarterback going through a rebuild with a new quarterback. I think they need to stick with Deshaun Watson. Does anybody have any plans for the future to the Texans?
I don't think you get rid of Deshaun Watson. I think we'd all agree he's definitely one of the better QBs in the league. But when you see the AFC as a whole, you see everybody's focusing on offense now. The Chiefs putting up huge points. The Browns are putting up 49 points. The Bengals, they got Burrow. They're spreading the field. Lamar Jackson. So I think you really have to focus on the offense. Their defense, they have J.J. Watt. I'm not saying that he's going to be their whole defense, but their defense is decent. It's not horrible. So get receivers. You needed to keep Hopkins. and get another number one receiver. It's all about the receivers nowadays. Everybody's just spreading the field and throwing it downfield. So you need to get some offensive-minded coach, and you need to draft a receiver in the first round.
In the first round?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
This team is nothing without a receiver.
I mean, the other
Exactly.
receiver is Jamar Chase from LSU, who's a great receiver, but I feel like you can find great receivers like late rounds, free undrafted free agents.
You can't risk that. You need a good receiver.
Yeah,
the reason
exactly.
you're not doing anything on offense is because Deshaun has really nobody to throw to other than Fuller. Fuller's okay, but he needs more weapons. That's the key. And like I don't know exactly off the top of my head what coach would be a good replacement, but I think they need to do their due diligence and continue to search, because once you find that good coach, then I think all things kind of mesh together. So
Can we do
continue to do
coach
that
by
due diligence.
committee?
Coach by committee. Jonathan, you're gonna like my pick. I had a little time on my hands to set up a game plan for the Texans, and the coach that I think they should go and grab, Jonathan's gonna like this, Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma.
Okay, that would be a really good move.
I
That would
think
be a really good
him,
move.
Cliff Kingsbury kind of have the same outlook on offense, RPO,
Right.
deep passing,
Yep.
the
Yep.
new age of NFL. They have Deshaun Watson. They got the quarterback that can perform in those offenses. He can run the ball. He can pass the ball. He's great in the pocket, great outside the pocket. He can do anything. Anything that
Yes.
Lincoln Riley, has in the playbook, he'll be able to perform. So I think that fits perfectly. But
Yeah, but I mean that does fit if you definitely want no defense. He's never had a decent defense on his team. So
Honestly,
true.
right now is a good opportunity. If I was Lincoln Riley, I'd get out of
Look
Oklahoma
at
as soon as possible.
Oklahoma is 1-2. They're back-to-back losses for like the first time in a long time.
Yep.
He said publicly that he doesn't want to coach at the next level, but when that money's in your face, like you gotta entice him. Texas, it's bigger in Texas. Like you gotta give him a bunch of money to get him to come over. I think that's the plan. I'm more on the opposite side. On offense, they do have Fuller, so he's a deep threat. He's a great receiver. They have Brandon Cooks, another great receiver, and they're both relatively young. I think they should draft Micah Parsons from Penn State. Now that we're talking about Penn State with Bill O'Brien, he's a linebacker from Penn State. He's huge. He's 6'3", 245 linebacker who is perfect for run defense. He's big enough to help in between the tackles, but he's fast enough to get sideline to sideline quickly. It reminds me a lot of Devin Bush. You see Devin Bush, Devin White, this new age linebackers are able to go sideline to sideline, but also are tough enough to go in between the tackles, help on the run defense. Because with the Texans, they give up the most rushing yards. So you need rushing help badly, extremely bad. My other thing they do is get rid of J.J. Watt for D tackles. You get big, strong D tackles. You get J.J. Watt out of there. He's not consistent enough to help this team. He's too injury prone. I feel like he has never had a full season in the NFL. I feel like for this team to move forward, they have to move on from him and start fresh. They can't keep waiting around for him to try and be the defensive player of the year that he used to be, 4 years ago. Like I personally don't think it's going to happen, and they shouldn't wait for his stock to drop too low to where they can't get anything. So if you draft Micah Parsons, the linebacker, you trade J.J. Watt, you get defensive tackles to fill that. Their secondary, even though I know barely anybody on that secondary, they're a top 5 pass defense. So passing-wise, they're locking it down with no names, which is surprising. If you can get that rush game down to about top 10, then you have a solid defense So that way your offense doesn't have to score 40 points a game to win, So in my opinion, get rid of J.J. Watt, get Micah Parsons, try and get Lincoln Riley as much as you can because he's a special coach. I think it just takes the right team and the right system, the right fit. I think this is the right fit for him. He's already got a quarterback right there. He's going to come into Houston with a franchise quarterback. That's the hardest part of any coach is trying to find a franchise quarterback. They already have one. I feel like it is a match made in heaven for Lincoln Riley and Houston Texans.
Yeah, some things. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can go, Jonathan.
Yeah, I just have one quick thing to say about J.J. Watt. Some things are bigger than football, and just like the mom in the family is a great encourager and keeps things together. Mm-hmm. J.J. Watt's the identity of the Houston Texans. You can't just let him go, even though he hasn't been performing the best that he can.
I'm not saying let him go, but he's got high value right now, and there's not a lot of substance there. How come they're last in run defense if he's playing? He's not producing as his big name should be.
Yeah, but like I said, this is bigger than football. He's that type of person that kind of holds the team together. He's the identity of the Texans. Everybody in Houston, they know J.J. Watt. The team rallies around this guy. He's a great leader. He's a great veteran for the younger players. So I don't think you release him because of that, not because of his play. So I think that's just bigger than football. You can't release a guy like J.J. Watt.
Yeah, there's some slightly different
or trade him.
Different points than what's been said is I've heard in terms of a coach replacement that Eric Bieniemy, he's the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, as well as mentor to Pat Mahomes. He was in talk at the end of last season. I heard his name a lot because a lot of coaches needed to be replaced, and a lot of people were surprised that Eric Bieniemy didn't walk away with a head coaching job. Part of it is I think the Texans overall, part of it might be because I don't want to say the hole they dug themselves into, but it might be a longer term rebuilding project. Who knows? Maybe they still have a shot this year because they still, Deshaun Watson is that special of a player. If you ask me, what they need to do is offensive line, number one. And I know that's crazy. They just got a left tackle, and I'm reading this Sports Illustrated article that was saying that they were the worst offensive line, and with this one signing, they're now 20th. That shows how good the one player is to boost them up that much, Laramie Tunsil. But you're still 20th.
They give up the most sacks, 4 sacks per game.
The pressure rate on Watson this season is still higher than last season. Mm-hmm. And just you can't do – you watch these games with the Texans, he's pressured all the time. Like, no matter how good you are, if your offensive line is breaking down every play, it limits what you can do. And I think it shows how if they're that good of a, like Jared, you said, a passing play offense, which they are, and they're doing as well as they are right now with that kind of offensive line, imagine what they could do with a solid – I'm just asking for more depth around the whole lineman. Because Tunsil's good, he'll hold it down. But when you have that good of a quarterback, you need to give him – when you give him an offensive line, you can open up, even – and I don't want to say amateur receivers, but receivers who aren't as big names can have big plays. And that's the same with the running situation. If they're able to open up a run game as being the Houston Texans, it's a huge front offensively that you can do, as well as having Deshaun Watson. So I think 20th is too low to be ranked as an offense, to have your line be ranked that low. It shows that they have a piece there in Tunsil, but they got to add to it. As well as I'd say, like you alluded, the run defense. I think they need to have some defensive linemen to pressure opposing quarterbacks, because the way the league is going, now who knows because of this year with Corona, but the way the league's going, offense is king more than ever. It's ever been high-scoring games like crazy. And the only kind of way to counter that is getting to the quarterbacks, because now it's a quarterback-driven league where these superstar quarterbacks are putting up crazy numbers. You have to make them uncomfortable, which means I think you'll see more teams investing into depth and superstar talent on the defensive line.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And I agree with both of you guys. They could improve their defense, and they could add additional linemen. But I feel like they could live without it for now. I think what's key, like John was saying, are the receivers. In terms of a line, with a dual threat quarterback like Deshaun that likes to scramble, I think that's a good strength they have. Because it keeps players alive longer, and it's tough to cover that long. So that's a good strength they have. So yes, they could improve the line, but I don't think it's a necessity like receivers are. I think once they get more receivers that can get open, I think the team could be a little bit more dangerous than they are right now. So
I think if they had one like big name receiver, I mean, it's like describing Deshaun Hopkins before he left. You know, if only they had one superstar receiver, this all would have worked.
I mean, they were about to beat the Chiefs to go on to the AFC Championship. That's how close they were.
Yeah,
And
then you just throw Hopkins away.
It shows you how much, like you guys said, last year they had literally the worst offensive line in the league. So how did they make the playoffs? It was DeAndre Hopkins was able to get open so fast on every play. So you need receivers. It doesn't matter. He made your line look amazing. I mean, they almost went to the freaking Super Bowl.
With the word, that's crazy statistically. But yeah, I think if I'm the Texans, it's like I wouldn't try to replicate the success with Hopkins right away. I do think, like you guys are saying, I think it'd be good to have, I hate to say it, but like when you got Amari Cooper on the Cowboys, just having that one electrifying receiver who is a threat and can get yards after the reception. It doesn't have to be a superstar, but if you have a guy, just one guy to kind of keep the defensive secondary honest, I think that'll be good. But it's just sorry to hear because they had one. And maybe they couldn't have paid him what he wanted, so that's fair. But I think immediately the line, then maybe get some receiver like that. And they can be creative, find a way to get that.
We're talking about the Cowboys right now, so we can move on to our next topic. The NFC East, also known as the NFC East. It's an ugly division, boys. It's very ugly.
Don't disrespect us like that.
I mean, I can't say much.
Top, I'd allow it, but the Eagles are leading, so don't disrespect the NFC.
Caleb finally broke out the dog shirt
and the hat.
And the Eagles hat. Oh, man, now he's flying high. Finally got their first win.
It's like that meme you sent, they're singing in the car down the highway.
Yeah.
That's me.
You look at the division, the Eagles are in first place, virtue of a tie, which doesn't look good. The Cowboys have one win. The Redskins have one win. Giants still looking for their first
Washington football team.
Oh, sorry. Did I say Redskins?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're canceled now.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, yes, the Giants could make it. But in my opinion, I see this as a two-person race. And I think it's the Cowboys that take it. I hate to say it, but I think the Cowboys have an edge over all these teams, and it's their offense. I don't think the Giants, the Eagles, the Washington football team have an offense like the Dallas Cowboys. It is unmatched. I don't see any of those teams competing at that high of a level on offense that the Cowboys are competing on.
Yeah, but you're overlooking the fact that it was the game between the Cowboys and the Browns was 14-14, and then the Browns scored like 30 points. Then it was 41-14, and now they're like, okay, Dak, you could just throw 500 yards. We're still going to win. All these teams are getting to leads. I say it every week. I don't know how I could say it anymore, but all these teams are scoring 40 points. And then saying, Dak, go ahead, get an NFL record for passing yards in the first 3-4 games. Nobody cares. Everybody's like, we're going to beat you anyway. Their offense it's good, but it's not that good. It's way inflated by how bad their defense is.
Yeah, I mean, we have to do extra work.
I've never seen, just as
What was
we have to do extra work because our defense sucks. But look at last night's game, Chiefs and New England Patriots. You see what a terrible quarterback can do. They can't really keep you in the game when the offense on the opposing team starts scoring. No, Dak and the offense, they're resilient. They're so good that honestly, if a few plays went our way, we could have caught up and beat the Browns.
What?
Yeah,
what do you mean?
Yeah,
did you see?
Oh yeah.
Did you see?
They were within striking distance.
Did you see the four? Did you see the 4 passes by Dak that should have been intercepted that hit the Browns players in the hands and they just dropped it? 4 different times. He should have had 4 interceptions.
Well, look, the way quarterbacks throw a ball, that's a strength too, because it's pretty like it's tough to intercept some balls because of the
What?
speed that the quarterback throws it. Some quarterbacks are good like that,
Dak has no arm strength. He just lofts it up, and they just close their eyes when they catch it.
Well,
Patriots. The Cowboys remind me of the Patriots with Brady. Do you guys remember when they would just like a ball would bounce up and the Patriots would catch it, and it's like in the playoffs.
That happened yesterday with the Patriots.
They just get lucky. The Patriots, especially with Tom Brady, they get lucky, and I feel that way a little bit with the Cowboys this season. I mean, honestly,
I think that's because you hate them so much.
I might be biased, but they should be 0-4. No offense, Jonathan, considering the Falcons just didn't pick up the onside kick, and then the last game they are resilient. Dak has these intangible qualities as a quarterback. You can't count them out. I disagreed though, Jared. I think Eagles are the if they're talking about the best team in the league potentially.
I figured.
I'm giving it to the Eagles. But Dak, he has a.
As he pours his tea.
I thought they were gonna. I thought they were gonna win it. I thought Browns were gonna blow it. That was more what I was thinking. Browns are gonna blow it more than the Cowboys were gonna win it.
Yeah.
And they were within striking distance, but again, I think some points that come up is Dak is putting up crazy numbers this season, but the commentators mentioned it, and it's a good point, is that the Cowboys aren't very efficient. And I think part of that is because the defense is really, really damaged. It's coming from the Eagles, where we had like a whole Excel sheet of people injured, but the Cowboys defense is giving up a lot of yards. Now they have an offense that can score a lot, but a lot of the yardage and stuff comes from checkdowns and yards after catch, which isn't really sustainable when you're behind or when you need, an offense that can be making bigger plays. And I don't see the Cowboys doing that.
Yeah, and I just like to mention the NFL passing leader so far is Dak Prescott by a long margin.
That's passing yards.
Yes, exactly.
Go to passer rating. That's what matters.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about that.
Oh, come on. You always said passer rating is the most important. Go to passer rating.
He'll get the yards. He's not efficient.
The scoring rating. The passer rating
isn't
is
even
like
top 5, I guarantee.
Well, the passer rating is like 102.6. I'm looking at it right now. That's not bad. That's not bad. For a person that throws that much, that's not bad at all. If you throw less, then you can have a higher passer rating. See what I'm saying? If you throw 10 passes a game or 15 passes a game or something.
That was the example. Baker threw less passes, but they were able to run it all the time. But they were saying Baker had less passes, but he was more efficient in getting the scores.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you look at it, so which I think is the problem with Dak's style of throwing, is that they gotta score more often.
Yep, exactly. And so you guys used to call him Captain Checkdown, right? I mean, that's clearly not the case. That's clearly not the case. This guy can throw, and believe you me, he's gonna get paid this offseason. But look, I think like I said, I keep on saying our offense is great. If our defense was just a tad better, then the division would be ours to win, or be ours to lose, rather. So if we can get our defense together, honestly, at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and say it because I know all Cowboys fans are thinking this. Jason Garrett, we miss you, man. We're sorry for treating you badly.
What?
Yes. If Jason Garrett was here, if Jason Garrett was here, I think things would be a little bit different. We'd probably have a couple of wins, right? Mike McCarthy, he seems kind of lost. Today, yesterday, he gave a statement. He said, effort is not our issue or something. Obviously, effort's not our issue. Effort's not anybody's issue in the NFL, really. I mean, come on, Mike. You have to be better than that. You have a great offense, right? And you're only able to win one game out of like 3 or 4. I think that's a huge issue. There's a reason why Aaron Rodgers wanted him out of Green Bay. It's clearly shown. He's not coaching with that tenacity. He's not coaching with that passion. Honestly, we should be like 2-2. We should win that first game.
He doesn't usually do that. Going back to Green Bay, did Aaron Rodgers ever have a decent defense? He never had a good defense. The only time he had a good defense was last year when LaFleur was there, his first year. McCarthy's never had a good defense. He's always just focused on passing and scoring points. And that's what the Cowboys are looking like.
I mean, from a playoff standpoint, the Cowboys may not match up against the top defenses, but it's good enough to win the NFC East.
I don't think anyone would argue that they're more defeated, not defeated, injured. My mistake. more injured than the Eagles are. Eagles have far more injuries at more positions than the 49ers did, talking about key players. And the reason I think it'll be between the Cowboys and Eagles, but I still think the Eagles, is that the Eagles will only get stronger from this point. I think you started to see a better Carson Wentz that, the fans of the Eagles have known and seen him. And you saw that. You saw some dimes that he threw, some second and long that he would have converted had it not been for penalties. And we won a game that people didn't think we should have won. And that was with receivers I'd never heard of before. Fulgham? Like, I welcome you into my arms. I'm happy. But I never Wentz was playing with these receivers who I'd never heard of, and I don't know many quarterbacks that can do it. And I think we'll only get stronger as our main receivers come back, and as well as his injuries at the start of the season will heal. And I think it'll be between the Cowboys, because Cowboys still have an offense that's very star-studded. But I think overall we have a better defensive line as well that's putting pressure on quarterbacks, and we have a lot of depth at that position, which is buying us a lot of time. Jim Schwartz as a defensive coordinator is doing great, in my opinion, even though it's been, if he's not there, I think we lose a lot more. And I think it's as the season goes on, I think if Carson Wentz gets comfortable and starts to, progress rather than regress, I think we'll have some opportunity. So that's my argument. I know I'm riding high off the 49ers win, so I'm biased, but
no, it's fair. It's fair. I mean, Wentz didn't have a great game. Like, Nick Mullins just kind of like handed it to him at that pick six. Without that pick six, it's a closer game.
That's how you win games, though.
But I know that's how you win. I don't know. Carson still needs to prove to me that he's the franchise quarterback. With that being said, we're going to go on to our new segment that we're going to implement into the podcast. It's called Most Likely. Basically, we'll be like, most likely team to do what, or most likely player to break out, something like that. Our first one is most likely team to go from worst, like last place, around last place, to playoffs. John, do you want to start off with your worst to playoff team?
Yes. So it pains me to say this, but the team that will go from worst to first is the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
What?
As bad as they seem right now,
Ew.
I said it that all teams' defenses are struggling right now. There's only one defense in the league that is not struggling, and it's the Indianapolis Colts. So every team is struggling on defense. So it's only a matter of time that they get their players playing together. I mean, Diggs is starting and playing every snap, and he's a rookie. I mean, it's only a matter of time before they start to work together. Van Der Esch comes back. And like Jared said, their defense is good enough now, but it's going to be even better. All they have to do is keep teams under 25 points, because their offenses can score 25 easy. So I think that they will come out on top of the NFC East, and I think that they won't go too far in the playoffs. But I'm just saying that they look really bad right now, but come Thanksgiving, maybe a little after, there'll be a different story. Everybody will be forgetting about giving up 49 points to the Browns.
Okay. Jonathan, since he picked the Cowboys, what is your team?
Yeah, that's a good pick. I would say the 49ers. And, here's why. I mean, their team is pretty good, even though they have some injuries here and there. Kittle came back last game, and he came back with a capital B, 15 for 15, like 183 yards, a touchdown. He was really impressive coming off an injury. And so I feel like great pieces, a couple of good running backs. The quarterback was okay. Like, he's okay as a backup quarterback. The defense is decent. I think that game they lost against the Eagles were so desperate for one win, or desperate for their first win. And so I think the 49ers, as they start to get a few, more people back from injuries. So my pick's 49ers for the team to go from worst to playoffs.
Okay. Caleb?
Is it worst right now or worst last season?
No, worse right now. Like
Ooh.
last place. I can go to give you some
Ooh, okay.
time.
Yeah, my bad. I was like, what? The 49ers made the Super Bowl last year. Like how are they
Because
worse?
they're in last place now, like
Oh, okay. My bad.
bottom of their division to
I
playoffs.
totally missed that. Okay. All right. Ooh. Yeah, give me a sec if you want to go first.
Yeah, mine's no surprise. It's the Chargers. Every game that they're in, they're close, and Herbert just hasn't had enough experience to get it done. Um, he will eventually win those close games. Right now, he's just too inexperienced, and our defense is doo-doo. I mean, on paper, it looks fantastic and it looks great, but it's absolute doo-doo right now, and the offense just can't keep up, especially with a young quarterback. You got to give him some help. You can't just expect him to score 40 points on the Buccaneers, you know? So Herbert performed well. Him and Joe Burrow are like the two top rookies right now. I am very impressed by Herbert. His size, his arm strength is NFL caliber. We found our franchise guy for sure. I still think when Tyrod gets healthy, they're gonna put Tyrod in. Unfortunately, just to give him, they're gonna have to give him a shot because he has our only win. I mean, if you look on the books, he's got our only win. So he got the job done, and a trainer poked him in the lung, and he lost his job. So it's only fair that you give him equal opportunity. But first things first, regardless of the quarterback, the defense needs to step up. Chris Harris Jr. is hurt. They need to step up. Like, next man up. It's time. You know, we have Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram, and we're getting no sacks except for that one Chiefs game. But other than that, you know, they've just been, ugh, like, I just have not seen the spark from the defense that I expected. So I think they'll go from last place to playoffs, like a wild card spot.
Yeah, my picks would be from worst to first. It's hard to say the worst because they're 3-1 right now, but they're technically in the AFC North. I'd go with the Browns. At first, that's a statement no one would say for years, considering how bad they were last year. But from what I've seen watching their games, they might have something
That
that's a
offense is
surprise.
special.
Yeah, and the defense with Myles Garrett on the other side and the other players on that, like they got some good pieces that kind of went under the radar for a while. And I think this season they're starting to see the fruit kind of bear from these seeds that were planted before. And I think they're legit. It's I almost see them like they could beat the Ravens. Now we're coming off the Chiefs beating them and making them look terrible, but it shows that it's possible if you're going up against the Ravens. And I think Baker's playing pretty well, and being 3-1, there's always room for improvement, and greasing the gears a bit as you get more situated. But I could see them potentially winning out against the Steelers or the Ravens. I mean, those are going to be games to watch. But if we're just going to most likely to, I think the Browns something special there if they're all healthy. Going from first to worst, I don't know if it's a fair comparison right now because we're so early in the season, but I'm looking at the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Bucks or Saints. I'm kind of torn on it. I think Bucks are looking a lot better than I expected. Tom Brady, you can't ever count him out. I think a lot of people expected the Saints to be winning more. I know they've had some injuries that are hurting, which is why I'm kind of torn on which one, because I think statistically Tampa Bay's at the top of the division. And the reason I'm focusing on making the playoffs the reason I'm focusing on the division is because they're trying to make the playoffs, because if you're not number one, you might be looking at a wild card or something like that. And I think if you're looking at first to worst, they'll either be the Bucks or the Saints. Now, which one right now, I'm not really sure depending on injuries, but the Bucks are rolling. They had a good comeback, and Saints, I think, they have Alvin Kamara, which is huge. He's a game changer, but Breeze is showing a little bit of flashes of instability. I think on some passes. I think you can't count him out either. But that's why I think I'm leaning towards one of those two teams potentially not making the playoffs.
Okay.
My pick for first to worst or first to not making the playoffs is the Tennessee Titans. They're 3-0 right now, but they played super easy teams. I mean, they really didn't have to play that well to beat them. And they were supposed to play the Steelers last week. We know what happened with that, but I chose the Colts in the beginning of the year to win this division, and I still think the Colts will win the division. I think the Titans are going to be closer to 500 than people think, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think, sorry, Tennessee Titan fans, but it's early and you played easy teams, so let's see what happens when you play tough teams. You got to really pound the ball, and I mean, Tannehill's going to be. You saw how much they leaned on him last year. As much as Henry ran the ball, I mean, Tannehill had great games, and we're going to have to see that, and I don't think he can do that. So, Titans.
I feel the same way with my team. I picked the Steelers. They played 3 teams totaling to 1 win. There's no doubt about their defense. No doubt at all. I think they're a top 5 defense, if not top 3. But the offense, unproven. Even with Roethlisberger, James Connors, Juju, like, still hasn't proved he's a number 1. I'd like to see a lot more from them. Eric Ebron was a top tight end, and he just disappeared. I mean, I don't know what happened on the Colts. He was like a top fantasy tight end, and now they barely even passed to him. So in the coming weeks, they actually have a pretty tough schedule. They have the Browns, then they have the Titans, and then they have the Ravens, and then they have the Cowboys. So those 3 games before the Cowboys are extremely tough, and Cowboys are going to be tough just because their offense is very good. So I expect for them to have a little bit of a decline, and Ravens and Browns to actually jump them in the division. I would go to Jonathan.
I know. Although I would say that kind of alludes to what I was saying about the Browns. I mean, well, do you think that who do you think wins that division then between the Steelers, Ravens, or Browns? If the Steelers go down.
If I'm being honest, I think it's going to be the Ravens. Because I think in the last podcast or one of the other podcasts, you said they had like a super easy schedule. So granted with that easy schedule, and they just have a better all around team, I would go with them, because still the Browns have to show consistency. The Ravens back-to-back seasons have made the playoffs, won their division, so that's established. The Browns still need to prove to me that they can do that. I would pick a safe bet and go with the Ravens as top, but
yeah. That's fair. Yeah, that's probably what most people say. I liked what I've seen from the Browns though, so that'll be a game to watch.
Odell is a different beast right now. He tweeted out a couple things the other day, and people thought that he got traded because he was like, "Oh, I have so much more to prove. Like, people don't even know how bad I want it." People were like, "Oh, did something happen? He get traded or something?" And he just must have went into a different mindset, because that touchdown, that basically game-winning touchdown, was sick, like absolutely sick.
Yeah. They're finally, I think, not they weren't utilizing him, but something's going right with the Browns, is from what I've observed, and I think that's why I was betting on them.
They weren't, and I don't know if it's the new coach, but they're finally utilizing him in the right way, calling the right plays. I remember last year, John and I were watching, it was maybe a Monday night game, and the Browns were running the ball like 2 times and then throwing once on 3rd down. And then they would keep running the ball. And you have OBJ, Jarvis Landry, and you're not throwing the ball. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So now they're actually starting to throw the ball.
I think it's because of their new coach. I think Kevin Stefanski, or at least he's calling the plays, and he was the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings last year. And when you think about the Vikings, you think of Dalvin Cook, and then you think you have to get Diggs and Thielen involved. And he has that good balance. And you could see that translate right over to the Browns. They're using Chubb and Hunt mainly, and then he's choosing the right times to use Beckham and Landry. So it's definitely been good for them.
Hunt's a big piece of that. With Chubb going down, he's going to get majority of the the takes and most importantly the receiving. He can take catches out of the backfield and make something out of nothing. So now you have another receiving weapon.
Yeah.
The offense is just gonna get better. So
Plus Baker looks good. Like he's just playing well.
he's all right. Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, with that run game, it's like he doesn't have to do as long as he doesn't mess up. They can, they could win games like that.
Yeah, Jonathan, do you have a team that's first that won't make the playoffs?
Yeah, mine was the Steelers, just like you.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, they obviously didn't play this week because of COVID and everything. I think that's going to throw them off a little because it's the beginning of the season, and there's a reason why you don't have bye weeks really in the beginning of the season because teams are still trying to improve and get better and tidy things up. So I think that's going to hurt them a little. I also think they haven't played anybody really. They played the Giants and Texans and another team. They haven't really played tough competition. And so their division, like a lot of teams are playing great, like the Browns and Ravens, obviously. So I think they're going to struggle winning their division throughout the year as the season progresses. The Browns are looking better, even though I will say the Cowboys made them look better than they actually are. Odell Beckham hit one good game, so let's not crown him yet. So I think their division is performing well so far. Out of really any division in all of NFL, and so we'll see what happens. But I think they're gonna struggle making the playoffs for sure.
No, I agree. Let's keep it moving. Most likely team to fire their coach. As we saw, Bill O'Brien is out. Who do you think is the next team to fire their coach?
Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta Falcons, Dan Quinn.
They should have
Get a pick.
fired him. They should have fired him a year and a half ago. I think that's what we're all gonna say. I mean, this guy needed to be fired 2 years ago. I'm shocked that if you told me like last week, either the Texans or the Falcons are gonna fire their coach after this week's game, I'd be like, yeah, it's gonna be the Falcons. And it was the Texans. So I think we all agree that the Falcons can't win games with this guy as coach. They like, how could you walk into a room and be like, okay, guys, this is the game plan, and be like, oh yeah, we think we can win. Like,
oh, it's tough. That's tough as a player. I would say, I mean, that's a fair point. I was thinking first came to mind for me was the Jets.
Me too.
With Adam. I mean, the fair points for both of them. I think with the Jets, they have their guy. I think Sam Darnold's a good pick, but you're doing this poorly this far in. I don't know. I look at it. Maybe you got to change things.
You're passing to no names. He has nobody on wide receiver. He's got no line help. And the quarterbacks from that draft, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, they all have gotten help. They've all gotten receiver help. They've all got O-line help. The Jets have given Darnold nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yep. I will say that there is one person they have that's currently injured. He's going to be back soon.
Don't even say later.
His name is his name is Denzel Mims. He's a receiver. I actually played against him in high school.
Did you
so
really?
He was drafted to the Jets.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
He's injured right now. He says he's not playing, but he's from Baylor, so he's supposed to be okay. He's supposed to be decent. So we'll see how he performs. But that's a weapon to watch out for.
Did he burn you on cornerback?
No. The quarterback wasn't good. That's one thing that sucked. The quarterback wasn't good, but he was good. So we didn't have trouble really defending him because the quarterback sucked. But I would say for my coach, Jared's going to hate me for this, but Anthony Lynn, he needs to go.
oh,
With a defense as good as that, and you're not able to win more than one game, I think it's a problem. Right now they're last in their division.
Derwin James is out, and you have a rookie quarterback.
And Chris Harris Jr.
Yeah, all that. You can say all that, but look, they're not scoring enough points. They're not scoring enough points. And look, Philip Rivers left and all that. He's been the coach for the past few years, and honestly, they should be doing better. They should have at least made the
No.
championship.
I mean,
You know,
we're not in a rebuilding stage, but from a quarterback standpoint, we're in limbo here. We got Tyrod Taylor and we have a rookie. Like it's hard to get a team that can rally around Tyrod Taylor or a rookie. Like it's tough. And Derwin James is the leader of that defense, and he's gone for the whole season again.
Well, no, you keep on saying that, but the defense is decent, okay? They held Mahomes to like 20 points. Was it 20, 23 points? They competed well against the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, yeah, but the Chiefs were just off that game for some reason. I don't know why. They must have had a bad flight. They didn't sleep well. It was a little sore. I don't know why they did. I think they let the Chargers do that just so they could come back and win.
Well, and you look at this past Sunday, they were up like 24-7 against the Bucs, right? Because of the defense. The defense was performing well.
Yeah.
Exactly. No. Anthony Lynn let it up, just like Dan Quinn blew those leads. Same thing you can say about Anthony Lynn. He needs to go. If they had a decent coach, I think their franchise would be, happier these past few years. Philip Rivers wouldn't have left. He would have stayed there. Because honestly, Philip Rivers was hopeless. He's like, all right, with this coach, I can't do anything. Let me just go get what I can get.
No, with him at quarterback, we couldn't do anything.
I think Chargers have had a quarterback problem. I mean, it's a fair point. I think Jonathan's point. Like 1-3 right now, but I think it's just been more of a quarterback problem in the past few years under his tenure. Like when you got on, you had Philip Rivers, and he's the franchise quarterback, and it was clearly the twilight of his time there. But you can't just get in there and then trade the star quarterback right away. So they stuck with him for a while. I think, looking at, between Tyrod and Herbert, is either one a franchise quarterback that you can build a team around long term remains to be seen. So I think that's more the bigger problem. I think the coaching's good, but I see what you're saying. They should be winning more with that good of a defense. I mean, they made the playoffs. I know they made it 2 years ago. I'm not sure if they made it last year.
They didn't make it last year. They were like at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's fair, but I think it's more if they fix the quarterback. If Herbert shows to be true, like he's really the guy, and they still keep losing, then I think you can start looking at the coach.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the key is Derwin James. That guy, I watched the Hard Knocks show. Derwin James, they've said it multiple times in the show. He is like the heartbeat of that defense. So him going down was way bigger than people think. Like it hurt them very bad. So. And plus, Chris Harris Jr., they picked him up in free agency. He was supposed to be a great cornerback, and now he's gone. So you're trying to pick pieces up from the bench and practice squad to try and fill those roles, and no one can fill the role of Derwin James.
Yeah, Jared. The Chargers don't have a defense problem. Let's just be clear. They don't have a defense problem.
They have an injury.
Yes, they're missing some. I mean, yeah, they are missing some key players on defense, but their defense is solid. If the Cowboys had that defense, would be Super Bowl contenders every year. So I don't think you guys have a defense problem at all.
There's just injuries all around the league. It's like, what team doesn't have a star player out because of an injury right now? It's like
very true.
We'll see.
Last one. We have our last one. Most likely player to break out. So we are in week 5 now. Which player do you think will break out and have a great season moving forward? Could be any player, literally any player you want. John?
I think from here on out, and a lot of people might not know this guy, but if you're a fantasy owner and you're listening, you guys got to get this guy on your team right now, because from here on out, he's going to lead his team in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. He's currently not the leader. There's a big name receiver on the team already, but I think this guy is going to be the favorite target of this quarterback, and I think that he's a guy that you need to get on all your teams, and his name is...
Please say it.
What?
Please say it. I know who you're going to say.
I want to know.
Deontay Johnson. He's a receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they've only played 3 games. Nobody really knows about him yet. Juju is getting all the targets, all the attention, all the touchdowns. But I think from here on out, and we could check this later in the year, but I think that he is a guy that's I think he's going to hit 1,000 yards receiving, and I think he's going to hit maybe double-digit touchdowns. So I think you guys if you're a fantasy owner, you need to trade for this guy right now because he's going to be Big Ben's favorite target. You know how much he loves to throw in the slot. They're not targeting tight ends. Juju's going to get all the attention. So this is a guy that's going to break out, I think, for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm going to say Allen Robinson. Even though he has done good the past couple games, I think it's going to be more consistent. The first 2 or 3 games, his numbers were low because of a bad quarterback in Trubisky. But now Nick Foles is starting. I think you're starting to see a little bit more dynamic offense. And I think he's going to be utilized properly with a person that knows the game well, a person that can give him as much targets as needed. I think Allen Robinson is going to be more consistent in terms of scoring 20 points on fantasy per week at least. So that's one player. Another player I was thinking about, you guys.
CeeDee Lamb.
Exactly. He's getting better every week. I know you're seeing that, John. He's getting better every single week. And so, it's really exciting as a Cowboys fan. This is our future. We have Cooper, who's always performing well. Gallup is decent. But CeeDee Lamb is getting better and better, and you love to see it. So those are 2 players I think are going to break out even more this next few weeks.
What about any guys that aren't on your fantasy team?
Well, I was going to say, don't you have Deontay Johnson, John?
Yeah, I think so. All right, Caleb, let's hear about your fantasy team.
It's going to make me look bad, but he's James Robinson.
Oh, come on.
The running back of the Jaguars. And yes, he's on my fantasy team. Jared, if yours is not on your fantasy team.
It's not.
You're the only one truly unbiased here.
Yeah.
I will say about James Robinson, yes, he's on my team and he's been putting up good numbers. He's already breaking out, I would say, but he's, they traded away Fournette, and the coaches there were saying, yeah, we're looking at Robinson. He can do what Fournette does. And Fournette was a player, he's shown some flashes of brilliance on Tampa already, but he was a good running back, just injury issues and I think, consistency problems, but Robinson's been consistent and hasn't been injured, and the Jaguars are slightly better than I think people give them credit for. And like I said, he's already putting up some good numbers. So I think he could be a player to watch, obviously as his career goes on. But this season, I think he'll keep putting it up. One of the top running backs this league this year. Jared?
I'm looking at my fantasy team to see if I can pick anybody.
I don't know, just to make sure.
Kittle. No. No, mine is a running back, surprisingly. And he's on the Cardinals, and his name's not Kenyon Drake. Chase Edmonds. I
could have guessed that. Yeah, Kenyon Drake sent me garbage fantasy points.
Kenyon Drake has not produced at all. Kyler's been stealing all of his touchdowns in the red zone. So Chase Edmonds, he had 15 points last game. I think they're going to start using him more in the backfield with receptions. So PPR leagues, he's going to go through the roof for fantasy. But I think they're going to start putting him in the first string rotations instead of Kenyon Drake. And now he's going to get all the targets in the backfield, all the rushes. He's a little bit bigger than Kenyon Drake, so I think they may trust him more to run the ball on the goal line so he can get touchdowns. I think they're going to use him in the role that Drake would have been in. So in fantasy, I think he's a sleeper. He's only owned by 36% of the fantasy roster. So if you're in a big league, he'll definitely be available to you. So Chase Edmonds for the Cardinals.
I will add one obvious one. I don't know if it's obvious to you guys, but not my pick, but one that I feel like if we're talking about breakout players that we have to give a little credit to.
Mm-hmm.
I know this might be controversial, knowing the tension in this debate. But Josh Allen, he's been playing really well, and sorry, John. He's been having a breakout season is what I keep seeing headlines for, and Bill's sitting pretty at 4-0. I mean, I think we just gotta mention him at least if we're talking about breakout players.
If anybody wants Josh Allen, send me your best trade offers, and I'll get back to you.
Wait, who's your QB right now?
Kyler Murray.
Why would you get rid of Josh Allen? He's going to have a way better rest of the year than
They're basically the same. Like, they're only within, like, 5 points. Like, it's not too much of a difference. So I would rather get – I need a running back, bro.
I got a lot.
I'll give you a running back.
Hey, I'll give you Eckler, Jared.
I
I should have took that trade. Oh, my God.
Okay. Last up on our list is the games of the week. We're going to get by super quick on this one. Colts, Browns. John, who you got?
I got the Colts, my team, to win their division. I think the Colts are going to win this game. The Browns just played the worst defense in the entire league, so they got lucky. And
no credit to the Cowboys whatsoever.
They have the worst defense that I've seen since I've been alive. So. They also have one of the best offenses I've seen since I've been alive.
Yeah, give them credit where credit's due.
I think the Browns are going to hit a stone wall because they're going to play the best defense in the league, and I think that the Colts will come out on top. My only thing for the Colts is Rivers in these close games. Can he figure out how not to throw an interception in the last 5 minutes of the game? But other than that, I think they're going to win.
Jonathan?
I have to say the Colts as well. I'm confident in their defense. I have them on fantasy, and these past few weeks they've caused a lot of turnovers, and so I feel like they're going to cause some turnovers against Baker Mayfield and the Browns offense, and then cause some havoc. And so because of their defense, I'm giving them that win for this weekend.
Caleb?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with both y'all. I think the Browns can win it. I respect the Colts a lot. I don't think people, they're not a flashy team in terms of like name, not like the Colts. They don't have a lot of big players, but I think they're a great team, good defense, good coaching. But the question mark for me is the quarterback, like you mentioned, John. And I think the Browns right now, I think this will be a game to prove that they can win against a good defense. And if they do, it's fair to the division consequences as well. But, I'm going to give this one to the Browns. They have a good defense, too, a depth at the running back position, and Baker's playing well. And if it carries, Odell is starting to, get some more pickups, more receptions. So I think if they carry through that, it'll be a game to watch, but I think I'm going to give this one to the Browns.
I agree. I think the Browns are going to take this one. I don't think the Colts offense can keep up with 30 to 40 points a game. And the Colts can't finish in the red zone. They kicked a lot of field goals last game against the Bears. They need to be able to turn those into touchdowns to be able to beat the Browns. I don't think they'll be able to do that, so I'm taking the Browns. Our second game, if it's playable, Titans versus Bills. Caleb, do you want to start this one? We'll go around the other way.
Yeah. Should be back by then, so that'll be a different.
Again? You cut out.
Sorry. AJ Brown on the Titans will be coming back, or at least it's debatable. But if he's back, that's a whole other variable for that game. Mm-hmm. I think the Titans are contenders this year, but just as much as the Bills are. So I think between the two, I'm gonna have to go with the Bills. I think they're sitting pretty at 4-0, doing pretty well, and I think. Quarterback for quarterback, Josh Allen's really hot right now. And I think that can carry them to win to beat the Titans.
Don't forget that the Titans now have 2 weeks to prepare for the Bills. So it's like having a bye week.
Very good point. Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't like Bills because I don't like the Bills fans. But man, the team has been performing well. They've been playing really well, and I hate to say it, but
are you saying?
Titans are winning their division. The Titans are winning their division, but they've barely won their past few games. It's been pretty close. The Vikings, I forgot who they played a couple weeks ago, but I think the Bills are gonna win. I hate to say it, but they're gonna win.
So you said.
But I'm waiting for that.
You said you don't like Bills fans.
Yeah, they're kind of
So
annoying.
you don't like me?
You're not a Bills fan. You're a Giants
I
fan.
think I might.
But no,
I think I might convert. Everybody up here in Western New York has me convinced that this team is going to the Super Bowl. So
no.
Only imagine.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying the nice road show.
everybody up here is enjoying. We're just riding the wave right now.
And this is really dangerous. Like the Chiefs are undefeated. I think that's dangerous. I want them to lose one game at least. Bills, it's definitely dangerous because you guys are so confident, getting big headed. Even if y'all make the playoffs, y'all are gonna lose the first game of the playoffs, and I can't wait till that happens. I can't wait till that happens.
What?
So
Dude,
you don't want to be
I
undefeated. You don't want to have a significant winning record. You want to lose some games so you can learn from that. And
I can't wait. I can't wait until a week from today when we do another podcast, and we're looking forward to the Chiefs and Bills, and they're both going to be 5-0, and I can't wait to choose the Bills to beat the Chiefs, and I can't wait for them to beat them and you guys to be shocked because this Bills team is for real.
I'm believing in the Bills.
I do too.
I'm there after
Never go against Bills Mafia. That's dangerous.
You get unlucky and
yeah. That team has a history of high hopes, and I think they need to deliver on them.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty obvious I'm picking the Bills to win this game.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you said Titans.
I said Titans
You
are
just
going
went like
first
the
to
Titans,
worst.
actually.
So I'm definitely taking the Bills in this game. They're at home. So
Yeah, I'm taking the
All right.
Bills as well.
So we're all Bills.
Yeah, who knows if I start Josh Allen? We'll never know. But I think the Bills will be able to shut down Henry, and once they shut down Henry, I don't see them going to A.J. Brown every single play.
If he's there, because it's still if he's still questionable. I believe.
So yeah. So if they don't have him, that's even worse. But and I have Henry in fantasy. He has not been doing well. They've been shutting him down pretty recently. He had his first 2 touchdowns last game, the last game he played, and they were like 2 1-yard, punch-ins, like very simple. So he's having a down year, which is not a good sign for that team. But they did have 2 weeks to prepare. So there is that little caveat there, but I take the Bills. I'm not going against Bills Mafia. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. Go over to our TikTok, go over to our Instagram at Dorm Debate Podcast. Go follow us on both those platforms. The podcast will be posted, as always, Thursday at 10 a.m. every week. So we will see you guys in week 6.